Hi, my name is Levi, and just here to create digital content for Sunday Loon. And this one I'm going to call Missing the Point. And the whole purpose of this one is just going to be related around the whole fact of hunting, primarily focused on young men in today's society in terms of just missing the point of why we're out there. And it's also the older generation missing the point on educating the youth. So a little background on myself. Grew up in upstate New York my whole life. I've been all over the country, and I've been hunting for about, better part of 25 years at this point. I've probably had a 30-30 in my hand since probably before I could sign up for, Little League. Hunting's been a big part of my life, and, as a average millennial, I see a lot of what's going on as what I would actually say is toxic. I know that there has been, or at least there was, an influx of younger hunters during the pandemic, but I don't think it was for a good reason. I think a lot of what we have out there today is an improper education on what hunting is, and I think we are missing the point of why we are out there, what we're there for. And I guess I'll start more on like the younger part, is that I think we've built up this hunting, or at least visualization of hunting, to give, or at least something that is giving a really, really false perspective of hunting, and successful hunting for that matter. And I as I'm recording this, it's September 15th, 2025, and right now everything is really in terms of the hunting world. Right now everything's hot with as of right now the bear skinning in Cornell, where two college kids somehow, for some reason, chose it was a wise idea to draw attention to themselves and skin a bear in a dorm room, or at least a dorm room kitchen. And then the week before that, Ryan Lampers, who is at this time, a massive voice and social media presence, and huge role model to many. Right now, Ryan Lampers is being charged with just a laundry list of poaching, grand theft. I can't really quote on it. I don't have the list in front of me, but he more or less stole money from the state, because he, or at least allegedly, lied about taking a game animal, a wolf, that in Idaho they charge you, or you can charge the state if you take a wolf out of a certain area, because it's predator control. And it appears he allegedly poached a wolf, mountain lion, world trophy class mule deer, and I believe an elk. And I bring these things up is because, in terms of the younger generation, because I think we've built up this system to where hunting is all about, this whole trophy thing, or at least like what you can visualize and put on, boast and brag, and, that I'm better than you. And, that's, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we've been doing that, at least as young men and women for that matter, since the dawn of time. We've been hunting, and if we harvest something pretty spectacular, we've always boasted and bragged about it, and I'm all for that. But I think what we're doing is we're creating incentive to do something wrong. And I think we've missed the point on why we're there and, what we're there for. And I think we're creating this false narrative that if you don't get an absolute fucking slob of just this creature, you're not going to, have anything to stand on, and you're not going to be, able to call yourself a hunter. And I think that's something that is projected incorrectly to young men. And again, this is the whole young men part. And I think we're creating something that we really shouldn't, because we really need individuals to understand the importance of our lands and understand the importance of our resources. I mean, we almost lost 3 to 4 million acres of public land this summer because of a bill that Congress was going to push through. Well, did push through, but they ended up having to take this part out. And it had it not been for a lot of proactive people speaking out against this, we could have lost that. And I think, we're missing the point. We're all focused on, as younger hunters, getting the biggest and baddest thing out there to create content for. And, you look at someone like Ryan Lampers, and again, nothing has been, official, this as of right now. It's just hard though, because like myself, like I see him as, a really, really successful and, backcountry hunter and a really great role model. And so who knows, what had happened. I know Brian Call put something out there, and I guess we'll see. But, I find it funny that like, I myself, as I drop the antlers, I chased, this one. I named him Don because for 2 years in a row he would avoid my cameras and avoid everything, and he would appear every year on July 29th. And July 29th is my uncle's birthday, and my specific uncle is the one who taught me how to hunt. And he passed away, and I called that one Uncle Don. And I waited about 4 years for him to walk in front of me in this bean farm that I hunt. And I'm the only one who hunts it. And he scored about 141, I believe. I think it's 148 gross. He's got 11 and a half inch T2s. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't have social media or anything, but I posted it, and I got a lot of feedback from individuals saying, must be nice to hunt a farm that nobody else hunts, or it must be nice. And, that's not my first buck, and it won't be my last. But I think it's pretty crappy for a lot of young hunters to just sit there and put down someone for chasing something and doing something the right way. But then, for on the other end of the spectrum, 4 years ago, and this is the reason why I have both these here. 4 years ago, I, was a day away from the last day of deer season here in upstate New York. And this little 2-year-old 8-point walked in front of me at 20 yards, and I had a freezer to fill to make full, and dropped him right on the spot. And he didn't even go 5 yards. And again, sent a couple pictures of my friends, and they were like, oh, you should have let him walk, should have let him live. And it's just like, one, don't listen to people like that, especially as men, because we, you can be as chill and non-egotistical as you want to be, but, things will always get to men. And it's being better than that and not missing the point is, why am I here? Why am I here to pass on this tradition to, my kids, bring meat home for, my wife and I, and have this remarkable experience. On the other end, I want to speak on is missing the point in terms of the older generation. And one of the things that like has really, really bothered me is the older generation belittling younger men for being successful. And I think a lot of that shows on the lack of young men with proper education of firearms, proper education with just woodsmanship, and, you know, proper education on, or just motivation to go hunting because they were just put down on. You know, I'll never forget when I was 18, I was a member of a gun club, and I had the vice president of the gun club actively chase my girlfriend at the time, chase us off the property because he didn't believe that I was a member. And, you know, that's pretty toxic, because here you have, you know, a young man who, you know, isn't, you know, over the top, an individual who just wants to hunt and fish, and that's all I wanted to do. And, you know, we have this thing where, you know, we're just having this one generation that got to have it all, not leave anything to the other generation. And again, missing the point as to why we're there. You know, I think, you know, maybe when the younger generation has a new technique or a different caliber of rifle, maybe not crap on their day because they're doing something different. Just because they're successful doesn't mean that they're, you know, really crappy. They could be really successful in the terms of the social media perspective, to where they're creating this false perspective. But I really think we need to get back to our roots and, you know, not miss the point of what hunting really is. As young men, I think, or just as men in general, I think hunting is a lost art, or at least becoming a lost art. And I think we really, really need to understand the importance of it. I think there's a lot that we can teach. I'm going to be doing more of these. And again, probably won't be doing it all the time from my upstairs or anything. I just wanted to start this one off with just, you know, missing the point and the importance of being a woodsman and an outdoorsman, and, you know, why it's important. You know, there was one thing, I believe it was Giannis Putelis quoted, is just, you know, you talk to most deer hunters today and you ask them about their last, you know, buck, 9 times out of 10, most of them can't even name the tree they shot the deer out of. I mean, that's, to me, as, you know, a man and a woodsman, you know, if you want to create respect towards the land and, you know, be stewards of the resource, it's having that education and knowing the importance of what you are doing and creating something, you know, meaningful to you as an individual, and being important, being an important factor in the conservation industry. So again, just get in the woods when you can, and you know, if you don't get something, there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't forget why you're really there, and try to enjoy yourself as much as you can, and use that moment or those moments to be as therapeutic as you want.